DC's Blue Beetle crawls in the theaters this weekend. Just saw it last night, so let's talk about it.
Nice choice.
Yeah. What's going on, everybody? It's yours truly, the Ace, back with another spoiler-free review to Blue Beetle. And before I get started, join me down in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think about this movie. Did you like it, love it, hate it? Would love to hear your thoughts. Here are mine. So here are my thoughts. So if you've seen any of my trailer reactions to Blue Beetle, yo, this shit looks fire. I'm not even gonna cap. And I just got done watching it for the second time. Like I said in my first trailer reaction, I am super excited for this movie. You'll notice, besides one hell of a beard transformation, that I was super excited about this movie going in, had high expectations, not too familiar with the Jaime Reyes character outside of him in, Young Justice and in the animated TV shows on top of that, the animated movies, I should say. I was excited going in, me being Hispanic, another Hispanic character on the big screen right after Miles Morales. So I had high expectations going in for this movie. But leaving the theater, I am going to say, not that my expectations were lower. It's just that this is just a solid movie overall. It's nothing groundbreaking. It doesn't really do anything to kind of reinvent the superhero genre. And I don't think it's really trying to. It just tells a story about Jaime Reyes finding technology that evil corporation wants to harness for themselves. Where have I seen that before? I digress. But overall, like I said, it's just a solid movie. I had a good, fun time watching it. I laughed. It was action-packed. It was overall just a good time. So let's get right into the good. In my opinion, best part about this movie is family. It's at the forefront of this movie, whether we're following Jaime and his family in the good or the evil corporation Cord in the bad. Now, when they focus on Jaime and his family, we see that even though they struggle, they still have each other. We are with them during their best times and their lowest times. And on the flip side of that, with the Cord Corporation, we see that they may have wealth and power, but they're really lacking that family focus. And that is what they push heavily in this movie. The main focus, though, is Jaime and his family. They have such a strong bond with great character development, great family dynamics, and moments that really add a ton of heart in this movie. We are with them through their highest and their lowest moments. When it's at the highest is when they're together, laughing, joking, supporting each other. And as someone who's Hispanic myself, I felt that. It speaks to me. I have such a great family and they constantly support me. And it was very relatable to someone like me. On the flip side of that, when they're at their lowest, we feel for them. It gets very emotional. And because we care about these characters and they do such a great job with character development, we actually care about what happens to them. And we want to root for them and see them get through this. And to me, that's what makes this movie special. Okay, let's talk about the star of this movie. Xolo Mariduena does a phenomenal job in his big screen debut as Jaime Reyes. I absolutely love him as Miguel Diaz in Cobra Kai. He is my favorite character. He kicks ass in that, and he kicks ass in this. Did a great job in his debut, translated well to the big screen as Jaime, and I had a great time watching him. The kid is super talented, and I look forward to seeing what they do with him in the future in this role. Now let's talk about the supporting cast. Everyone was phenomenal, specifically George Lopez. He was hilarious in this movie. Where other movies fail, they try to be funny in certain moments that it just doesn't work. But where this movie succeeds is using a comedian to hit comedic beats, and it just works so perfectly. Hats off to them on that. Now let's talk about the mixed. Okay, in this section, I'm kind of on the fence about the plot overall in general. Pretty easy, straightforward plot. Like I said earlier, it doesn't do anything to reinvent the wheel. It's not really groundbreaking. But like I said, it doesn't try to. I'm okay with smaller scale movies. To me, not everything needs to be end of the world type stakes or end of the universe, multiverse type stuff. I'm okay with just a kid trying to save his family. It's hard for me to look at this movie and not, at certain points, not think about Iron Man, not think about Ant-Man, or even like the Iron Spider. You can tell in this movie, it took inspiration from those. It wasn't trying to copy them per se, but it was heavily inspired by that, and that's why I'm kind of just overall mixed about this. Okay, another thing I'm mixed about is the family stuff. Like, I absolutely loved it, was blown away by it, but I wish this movie had more focus on Blue Beetle. This doesn't really feel like a true origin story. This story in particular feels like the second movie of a Blue Beetle series. I wish they would have taken a little more time to just focus on Jaime getting the suit, going from there, and then adding the family stuff along the way instead of that being the main focus. Now, they do a good job at diving into the backstory of Blue Beetle with Cord and Garrett, the original Blue Beetles. They add that into this, but it doesn't really focus too much on Jaime. It tells more of a family story. So like I said, I'm a little on the fence about that as well. Now let's get into the bad. Okay, what I didn't like about this movie, very slow in the first 2/3 of the movie. It really did take this movie a little while to get it going. Now, there were parts that were fun and funny leading up to that, but it really doesn't hit full gear and gain its momentum until the third act. But once it does, it's a fun, action-packed time. I just wish it was a better setup and a better build leading up to that. Also, wasn't a fan of the villains at all. If it wasn't for the fact that they were tied into one of the original Blue Beetles, they would be very forgettable. And it's just more of what we've gotten from superhero movies, where our protagonist is fighting an antagonist with a very similar skill set. They go head to head, and that's what we get right there for the big battle and stuff like that. And like I said, it's just like I said earlier, it's more of what we've seen already. And that's some of the stuff that I didn't like about this movie. Also, it just seems like DC is lacking direction. Like, they announced this movie back when DCEU was going, but it's like there are very contradicting reports. Like, is this in DCEU? Is this in DCU? And James Gunn said one thing, other executives said another. And it seems like with this movie, they wanted to have their cake and eat it too. If DCEU would have continued going, okay, we're going to throw this in that. But if it doesn't, we're just going to throw this in DCU. And they do that by incorporating a lot of references to DC. It's Batman references, Superman references, but it's very vague. Nothing specific that gives it away. So that way I feel like they did that so that way they could move this to a different universe if one universe didn't do well. Now, before I give you my final thoughts on the movie, some people ask, is there a post-credit scene? Yes, there are 2 post-credit scenes. The mid-credit scene kind of touches on a important plot point that they had made earlier in the movie and kind of shows you a potential direction that they're going to take the next slate of movies. The third one is just like a throwaway joke that was a quick joke in the middle of the movie. So stay if you want to, but realistically, you don't. It's kind of like the same type of joke that we saw in Homecoming with Captain America. It's you can watch it if you want, but it's not really pivotal to the experience. But overall, this is a fun family film that just feels familiar. So I give it about a solid 7 out of 10. I had a good time watching it in theaters, but I do feel like this one is more of a streamable movie. But if you go to the movie theaters, that's completely up to you. I went, so I got to get my hands on one of these Blue Beetle popcorn backpacks. Definitely like this. Shout outs to AMC. Hopefully they're the first ever sponsor of this channel. I am wishing that to existence. But I appreciate you guys for watching. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe. As always, guys, thank you for tuning into the Ace Avenue. I am yours truly, the Ace. Adios.